Hello, everybody. It is Katori from Yonkers Arts, and I'm here doing the Yonkers Arts Artist Showcase Series. Yes, look who's here, who's joining in tonight. Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. So glad to see you. Oh, yes, I see some familiar faces. Well, not faces, but handles here tonight. We're going to have Luisa Baptista. Luisa Vibes. That's the name, Luisa Vibes. So she's going to hop on here today. As you know, just real quick before we get the interview started, that we kicked off yesterday with our wonderful, wonderful, wonderful executive director, Mr. Ray Wilcox. He kicked off our live Instagram series yesterday. And if you were there, you heard me say that we are going to do live Instagrams at 6 o'clock, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the way until the end of this month. So I wanted to mention, if you are an artist, if you know of an artist and you would like them to be maybe interviewed, maybe they'll be chosen to be interviewed for this Instagram live and they are on Instagram, then you can DM Yonkers Arts, okay? DM Yonkers Arts so that we can take a look at their work and their bio, and maybe they can have a chance to be interviewed on this platform with us. So without further ado, I want to welcome our guest tonight. Many of you probably even know her, and if not, tonight you're gonna know. Her name is, she goes under the tagline of Luisa Vibes. So before we get into it, welcome, Luisa.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. It's good to be here.
I'm so happy. Luisa is, she's done a lot for Yonkers, the Bronx, and many other places. So we're going to get to talk to her a little bit about some of the things she's done in the past. And you know how it goes if you're used to my interviews. But we're not going to do a long interview. You guys are used to my long interviews. These interviews here are only going to be up to maybe 20 to 30 minutes, since you're going to get a little bit every night. So we wanted to keep them short, brief, but very informative. What I want to say too, I want to give a big shout out. I don't want to forget. We always want to make sure that we don't forget to give a shout out to Westchester, Arts Westchester. All right. I'm just checking to make sure I say this right and get it right. This artist showcase series is made possible through the funds of Arts Westchester's Restart the Arts grant. Okay, so we're very grateful for that. Without further ado, let's get started. Luisa Vibes. Where did you get vibes from?
You know what? That started off of me wanting to not get stuck in one form of art. And so I was doing photography at the time when I started Instagram. I hadn't really gotten into my painting and drawings yet. At that time, I'd done it since I was a kid, but it had stopped for a long time. So I was taking pictures of street art. I was taking abstract photography. I was doing portrait photography. I was doing my drawings. And I was like, well, this is my vibe today. Today's my photography vibe. Tomorrow's going to be my abstraction vibe. No. And so I didn't want to get stuck in this one niche, like just Luisa paintings and so that's kind of, and then if I did something personal, that was my that day was my taking a picture of my cat at the day. So it was kind of like the vibe.
I love the name, and your work is vibrant and it gives vibes, whether it's in color or whether it's in black and white. And we'll take some more look. We're going to talk a little bit more about the artwork behind you. But before we get into that, tell us, when did you get this passion to even start painting? Was it something you always wanted to do, or was it something that came to you later on in life?
I think since I was a young child, since I can remember, I loved coloring, drawing. I loved anything artistic. And for a couple decades, I just put it to the side. I didn't take it seriously. I didn't think I could make a living from it. I didn't, especially the type of work that I was interested in, I didn't take very seriously something like this at the time. And I said, you know, I'm just going to put that to the side. I'm going to focus on just getting my bills paid and doing the traditional lifestyle that I have to just go to a 9 to 5 and do it. It just wasn't my, I mean, I did it for a long time, but it wasn't in my soul. It didn't soothe my soul. So a few years ago, I think 2018, 2017, around that time, I started really relooking at my life and where in the trajectory it was going in. And I said, it's time to start taking myself a little bit seriously, at least trying to put myself out there. And I had amazing friends and family who've always been super supportive and always told me I should do it, but I never really, not until you're ready. Exactly. Everybody, thankfully, there's a support system, but even with that, I still wasn't doing anything until I finally said, no, now it's time. It's time to at least try and get out of my comfort zone.
How did it feel when you sold your first painting or your first sketch or whatever it is that you sold? And actually, do you remember the first thing that you sold or just the feeling?
Yeah, I was first of all, I was in shock. Secondly, I started like tearing up because I was like, I didn't take myself seriously until I really started putting myself out there and really recognized the amount of time and effort and skill that it takes to do what I do. I hadn't considered that. I just thought this was just something I just doodled or whatever. But once I started really putting some energy into it, I really took myself seriously. And then seeing that someone was actually interested in purchasing it, it was mind-blowing the first time. It was mind-blowing.
That is always just a wonderful feeling, right? I think my first piece that I ever sold was for $75. And I was like, really? It's not going to be sold for $12 or $5? The very first piece that I sold was $75. And the lady just thought that was such a, she was like, are you sure? Only 75? I was like, yeah, are you sure you want to pay 75? It takes, I think now, a lot of people are like feeling that, the worth and value that they really should be paid the worth and the value, of course. But like years ago, I just wasn't feeling like that. Like I was just happy. I was just painting and giving things away, So when you get to that point, that's why I want you to share it. When you get to a point where someone actually buys something from you and it's the price that you set it for, it really feels good, right?
Yeah, it's a weird mixed feelings because I don't want to say that I don't need external validation to tell me what I'm worth, but at the same time, it's a mixed bag. At the same time, it is good to know that someone acknowledges and recognizes what you've put into it.
And they're not trying to get it cheaper, because some people like, ooh, 75. Oh my goodness, that's so much, So when someone just like, 75, okay, here, you just feel like, I'm going to speak for myself. I felt great. So I'm glad that, you had that wonderful experience, and it's something that you usually don't forget your first time, right?
Yeah. And there's been plenty of people wanting to purchase and then they don't. And I've learned I don't take any of that personally.
Of course not. We can't. We can't. We really can't. Now, let's talk about this. You have a very specific technique. Now, I've worked with Luisa. I want to tell you guys, we've done some murals together. And I've also come to support her, to watch her and see her work. So, and those squiggly, I'm calling them squiggly lines. Maybe you have another name for them, but she is so exact with them. It looks like doodle, right? But when you doodle, you just kind of aimlessly go. But this woman will measure, will make sure. There's a lot of planning. Like each one of those swerves, she has planned. It has to be a certain way. It has to look a certain way. And she puts a lot of time and energy into it. So let's talk about your process.
So the process, I don't know how much planning I do initially. The first line just is free flowing. And the beginning is very free flowing. but once one line is up, because I like it to look so precise, and I like to have, like, let me, you know me, I'll go off on tangents if I do something, but because I really, really like them to be well balanced,
Yes,
and
you
I like
do.
the crispness of the lines, once one line starts, the other line has to, so for me, one line could be really free flowing and ridiculous and all over the place, but the next line now is going to be really specific and really precise. And it's not going to just be any level of thickness that I'm going to leave it at. If I see that this doesn't work visually for me, or it's just not feeling right for me in the space that I'm making it, then I'm going to add to it. So it's going to be a lot of focus over and over and over on the same line. So sometimes it looks like, yeah, she probably took just the thing. She just did this real quick. She did this real quick. But I'm going over the same one several times to make sure the measure, not measuring it mathematically,
Right.
but visually, I like to see there's a balance. There's a lot of movement in it, but I like it to feel well balanced. But at the same time, like I like it to flow. But for me, visually, it needs to feel balanced. So if one feels like it's too weak, it's not strong enough on one side, and the other side is way too strong, and it's out of balance visually for me, I'm gonna compensate somewhere, depending on the color, depending on the thickness of the line, depending on the space in between. It just needs to be for me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm meaning. And I'm glad you're explaining it more in detail. I just want people to know that you don't just sit there and just kind of, you are flowing. And I'm glad you explained that, because I've seen you little bit by little bit. No, a little bit by little bit. Okay. You know, you're not just free flowing and just like, okay, I'm just picking up colors and I'm kind of just going, and then voila. I want people to know that you do, even if you start off like that, there is a point in your technique where you are really looking at the balance and the colors and the thickness. And
I'm going in super close, and then I'm stepping back, and I'm taking some time. I'll have to, and especially if it's in a space that it's in a public space, like street work, the planning comes in where I have to, when I've already begun the first block of work, then, because again, I generally don't have a planned look.
Right.
Every piece is dependent on the space that I'm given. And I want it to work within that space properly. Well within that space and make sense for that space. If I have a column that's in between, I want that to work with it. I don't want anything to.
But that's planning. That's planning.
And so after the first line, then the planning comes in a little bit later. And to make, at the end of the day, I don't want it to look planned.
Right. And it doesn't at all. But you do take in consideration columns, any kind of the way whatever medium you're painting on. You have to think about that. You're thinking about, like, every step of the way, you're kind of thinking about what material you're painting on, and if it's something that needs, that's bumpy or whatever, that's what I mean by planning. I don't mean planning like you go there, you know exactly, you put it up. I mean planning as you're going along and figuring it out.
Oh, for sure. And one specific place that I did my most planning, I noticed, is when I did, so in an entryway, I was given this space with a door. So it's got the handle. So I'm using the door plus the space around the door. And on the side of it has a piping, like a fire department pipe. And
you want to say where that is or no?
Oh, yeah, it was at Waldworks, part of Creative of the Bronx, which was an amazing, huge honor to be invited to do that. That was, shout out to Crash and Waldworks.
And who's Crash? It's for people who don't know who Crash is, which I don't think people are, but people do. And we want to make sure that people know why it was such an honor to work with, to do this at Crash's place.
I'm still to this day, I'm like, oh my God. Crash is he's one of the founders of Tats Crew in the Bronx, and is one of the living legends of the street art and graph and writing movement. So to be recognized and say, hey, we'd love to see your work in our space, that was beyond measure. I could not, that was beyond a dream come true. I would have never.
And
Imagine that.
congratulations. Congratulations.
But some space like that that has a door, you know, it's an entrance door, it's got its handle, it's got other things that are blocking, it says first floor. So you want to work around these things and you want to make it work within that space. And having a handle, so visually I wanted it to make sure that the flow looks like it makes sense for that space. I don't want it to look intrusive. I don't want it to look like it's visually blocked in any way. I don't want the energy to be blocked either, to feel stagnant.
Exactly.
And when you get it, you feel thrown off by it. So I want to use the space to move things around and have your eyes keep moving. And then eventually, like what I wanted also is to focus on the handle so the handle doesn't get hidden and it makes you want to walk in.
Exactly. So everybody, please run down to Wallworks and check out Luisa Vibes mural there. So let's talk about the piece behind you, and then we'll talk about other murals and exactly, you know, what you use to create what you do. So talk about the piece you have there. I know you have two other pieces to show us.
Yeah, this piece was when I started getting into color a lot more. I had been focusing on black and white for a very long time. Something like this, I would do just line work, just pen and paper.
Hold that up. That's beautiful. So I just want to let you guys know for the Yonkers Arts, this series, I welcome questions and comments so that you can ask the artist herself these questions, any questions that you want. I will read them when I see them. So please do not be shy. You have a question. This is your opportunity to ask the artist. We got her live right here. So please use the comment section. If you want to show love, give us hearts. I see some people giving hearts, so please continue to do so. So the piece that we're looking at right now, we'll talk about the black and white one, but now what is that painted on? And what paint did you use? Talk to us about the materials.
So this was just a raw actually not raw, it was a primed canvas, but it was just I had taken it off of a roll. I cut the canvas, I put it up against, I taped it on a board, and then I had these acrylic markers, these thick acrylic markers with different types of tips, and I was just, this is, you know, it was with a marker. It was with an acrylic marker prop, like it had a lot of paint that would drip through it, but it was just a repetition of going over and over, feeling that line, feeling the thickness of it, feeling if I wanted it to go further. And sometimes when you mess up and your line goes out of whack, where you're not expecting it, you also have to go, well, I have to go with that flow. There were many times that the markers slipped where I wanted, I was like, I guess markers telling me where we're going today.
Exactly. So it's a combination of different things that makes this pattern come. So I have Tristan, I hope I say it right, my cat, is asking, where do you get, I think you know this person because you're laughing, where do you get your inspiration for your design?
Oh, that's a good question. The wildest things. I love seeing the swirls in clouds, in my hair,
Yeah.
in the billowing of smoke, like off of a candle. I mean, this is a more typical thing, but I love the line work. I love the meditative quality of the line work that it gives me. Really focusing. I have a hard time focusing, so when I'm in this zone doing my artwork is one of the few times in my life that I'm actually like hyper focused and I feel totally quiet. My brain is quiet, barely, but it's the most quiet it gets. And it's really totally zoned in. But a lot of things in nature, plants, a lot of ancient tribal patterns are really inspiring to me. Things like that.
So how big is that piece that you have?
This one is inches by 26 by 36. Let me see if I can move this back a little bit. It's not super big. 26 by 36. I don't want this. Yeah. Oh, it's kind of hard to see.
Wow, that's a nice size. Now, is this piece for sale? Or this is part of your personal collection?
That has, you know what? That has been a struggle for me to decide that one.
I mean, it is beautiful.
This went for sale, and it didn't sell at the couple of places that I took it to, the shows. And so right now it's in my personal collection. It's actually in my mother's collection. And I think she claimed it. So I guess if the right price was offered, I could always produce another one.
Exactly, right? You can make a poster and say, "Here, Mama, take the poster."
I would print. I would definitely make a print.
Yeah.
I would definitely make a print of it for sure, because this is my mother has claimed it. She goes, "Yeah, you're not." I'm like,
oh, okay. So we'll get the people will have to buy a poster, perhaps. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
You never know. Hey, that might,
hey,
a couple of thousand. Mama might want to cut.
She might take the print.
So let's look at your other piece that you just put up. When did you do that piece? And talk to us about the medium, the one you had picked up just a few seconds ago, the black and white one.
Oh, this one.
I love that
one. Was in 2018.
This
one was in 2018. Yeah, this was just pen and on paper. This was just pen on paper.
Is this two people? To me, it looks like two people about to kiss.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Oh,
that's exactly
how
right.
Romantic. I
took that. Two profiles. It's not, what's funny? In the meantime, since then, I've actually taken the digital photo of it and redone it. I removed this area, which is what I love about the digital media now that I've gotten into it. Being able to correct what you don't like about your work.
Absolutely. Well, I absolutely love it. I don't even see any creation. Something that needs to be corrected. For 1969 Manny, hi. They ask, what motivates you to create your work?
Oh, sometimes it's hard to get motivated. But I've been learning through other colleagues, other artist friends. It's a matter of discipline and just putting it in, and it comes with. What motivates me generally is wanting to feel that focus and that intensity, in getting the artwork done, and then knowing that this piece is now finally done, or getting that process of feeling that it's kind of like a weird high. The process feels feels really intense, which I really enjoy. That's motivating for sure. And then challenging myself to do something different out of my comfort zone and get a little bit out there.
Okay, show us the other piece.
Oh, this other piece right now that I have, this was also a black and white line work that I did. This was also just to
beautiful.
I try to keep it. I like to keep it abstract and like subliminally. Maybe subliminal is not the right word, but to get a feeling. And this is. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what size is that, and what were you thinking when you were creating that piece?
This was 11. I think this is 11 by 14, and this is a mother with baby and the children on the side with a partner behind her. So this is kind of like a family portrait, let's say.
I absolutely love it.
I actually did this one specifically for a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Of she and her 3 boys and her husband. But I started it something similar, just like a mother and child series with different, different quantities. So it doesn't have to be, I made one that this became like twins. There was a sister, my sister had a friend who had twins recently, so that got redone for her. Mm-hmm. So a little different style. And I love the contrast. I love the black and white contrast, and every now and again adding a splash of color.
I love it. And so talk to us about now where your artwork may be right now, some murals that you've done where people can maybe drive by and see it, or go to. I mean, obviously I know the answer to these questions, but I want the audience to know. So talk about some of the places, your street art.
Well, right now one has been taken down. The first one that I did in the Bronx has come down, but that can always be found on my Instagram. And I have some stickers that I was lucky to get done in time.
Yeah, but talk
Um,
about that for a second, because that one is something that, actually you and I are thinking of, and we did have a GoFundMe, which is on hold right now, because we are looking for a wall. So if anybody in the audience
yeah,
knows of a wall that we can use, that would be great. But talk about that and why that was so important to have that wall. And even if you don't remember what it said on the wall, because we're just going through this real quickly, but what was that purpose and how did it feel and how did the community embrace it? Why don't you talk about a little bit about that and how, me and you are looking for another wall so we can do the same thing, including my artwork at the time.
yeah,
Talk about when you
yes,
first did this wall.
it is.
Yeah.
So Couture and I have been talking about doing a big, big, big mural together where her Couture kids and my swirls and my kind of movement style are intertwined and collaborating on a big space. And I had wanted to do it originally where I did my first mural in the Bronx in Parkchester on the corner of Theriot and Westchester Ave. But unfortunately, the building has been sold, and the owner that I knew and had spoken to about getting approval to do the work there hasn't been able to obviously approve it because it's now been sold. So the importance of that mural back then, when I did it in 2018, was for the community. My partner T had lived on that block in that street, actually a few doors down for over a decade, and been raising his kids there. And he knew the landlord and offered. And when I got that opportunity, I jumped on it right away. There was, I did it out of my own pocket. Took, did the supplies, didn't get paid for and it was a massive, massive wall. It was like 25 by 12 feet. But I loved it. It was my first big mural. The community was totally involved. It was my first experience doing public art, which was amazing. And having that interaction, like something I'd never experienced before, but having that interaction of people walking by and talking to you and wanting to tell them, like them wanting to tell you their stories and asking about yourself and totally interacting. And it's funny because the initial idea I had about that mural changed with time and as I kept speaking to people. It became more and more, it became less about me and the work itself. And the quote that I initially chose for that space was purposely for the community and the type of people I had been meeting and getting to know in the process. And as far as and that's why I wanted that space, because it was such a large space and such a community, family oriented neighborhood. I wanted our work to be on that space collectively, because it would have been perfect seeing your Couture kids in that space. That's what I had always also thought with, like, if there were a space even on the side of it, we had talked, because there was some blank space part of that same building that I was like, oh, you're the big kids and different skin tones and different cultures would have been beautiful right next to it. And then when I said, you know what, it's been 3 years, it's time for this to come down and do something new and fresh. But unfortunately, we didn't have that opportunity as I'd expected.
Right.
We'd actually pay, but then everything happened and that didn't come through. So for anybody that's a spot in the Bronx or Lower Westchester for us to collaborate in a really large outdoor space, please let us know.
Yes, please, we would love that. You can actually reach out to, give your DM, Luisa.
Oh, so it's at Luisa, LUISA_vibes with an S at the end. So feel free to DM me with some addresses, landlords that I have to reach out to. I have no problem calling people. You're like, hello.
Exactly. And also, if you want to reach out to inquire about her art, because you do, and if you don't have any more t-shirts, because they were hot. I mean, Evan and I have t-shirts. I mean, she has t-shirts with her designs on it, posters. I mean, talk about, what you have. There you go. I love those. You know what I saw? Oh, I didn't see that. That's new. Wait a minute. That's new to me.
I got some magnets happening here. I got some pins. I got some stickers.
Let me tell you where I saw that sticker. And I said, no, she didn't. I saw that sticker on the ground, on the oh man, what is it? Downtown Bid. Downtown Bid has your sticker on their little trucky thing.
Oh,
I
shut
think,
up!
yes, it had the eye one, the one with the eye.
Oh, yes!
I was driving behind. I was like, wait a minute, I know that sticker. And I was like,
Oh,
oh shoot, that's the
I know.
downtown bit. I was like, oh, get out of here. You go, you go, you go.
Oh, that's cool. Actually, the downtown bid, this was, I got commissioned to do a piece that this is hanging. This is a mandala that's
I love
hanging in
that.
their wall at the downtown bid. And then I took a picture of it and I said, let me make that into something I can, I just loved it. I loved the way it came out. But what's funny is, as artists, as you know, and other artists know, you always look back and go, oh, I could have done that a little bit differently. I could have added a little bit of extra flair in here, there, everywhere. So do you have that? Do you ever have that experience where you finished a piece and now it's out there in the world, but you're looking back at it going, ooh, that could have
Oh
added a little.
yeah. Oh yeah. I do. I do. Because sometimes after I'm finished and it's sold, then I'll still be thinking about it. And then I'm like, oh, you know what I could have done? Or
Yeah.
I could have added that I didn't think of at that time. Because my work is basically like, it's spiritually inspired. And so it sometimes takes a long time for me to get my, vibe
Mm-hmm.
and everything going, as you say. And then when I do it, then I'm like, oh wow, I finally let it go. And then sometimes in some pieces I'm like, oh, maybe if I added this or that. So yeah, I definitely understand that. I could feel that. Oh, it's so funny. I see who said something here. Oh, V Ferg, how you
Oh,
doing? He said sticker on the truckee. Yes, you
that,
have arrived when you have your artwork stuck on the Yonkers downtown bid. Little truckie.
that is too funny.
Now talk about the artwork that you have
Oh,
in the garage.
and the Buena Vista Municipal Parking Garage. Yes. Another. Let me tell you, I stay humbled. Truly, I stay shocked. Anytime organizations or anybody reaches out to me looking for actual, like, to commission my work, it blows. I get my mind is still blown. When they reached out to me after I had posted the mural from the Bronx, from Parkchester, on Theriot Ave, and it was a family friend of mine that posted on her page, and the city reached out asking where they could get that artist. I'm like, I'm right here.
Exactly. Here she is. Right there.
Yeah. They commissioned to do that space, and we talked back and forth about different ideas for that space, and I loved it. It was challenging, that space.
So talk about the space. Give us, for people who don't know, what that space looks like.
So you can see it when you enter the parking garage, Buena Vista Parking Garage on Main Street.
In Yonkers. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's where the elevators and the pay stations are. It was challenging. I'd never used scaffolding before. So for that massive wall where the mayor's logo went up, that was an interesting. God bless all my support people like you, Evan, friends and family that have come out to support and help.
Oh, absolutely.
T, who helped me put up, because I was like, babe, can you help me? He's like my logistics guy. He is my logistics guy. Let me tell you, I'm like, all right, I figure this out mathematically. Go.
Exactly. Well, that's beautiful. I mean, I think it's just wonderful, that you did it, and it's beautiful. I was just there the other day. I had something to do, and I needed to find parking, and I couldn't find parking on the street, so I went to the garage. And every time I go there, it's just so nice when I get out the elevator, and it's like, bam, in your face, like, yeah, I know her, and it's just wonderful. And I've actually seen, I don't know if I've told you, but there are some times, like maybe twice so far, that I caught somebody taking a picture by your artwork. So, it's definitely loved. It is definitely loved. So let's talk about, I'm sorry?
I said that's amazing to me. That's still, again, it's one of those things that it's still surprising. I don't know. It's not that it's surprising. I think, like, I honor my work. I love my work, but it still amazes me when someone else is really enjoying it. That still is like, I don't know how to explain it.
Absolutely. It is. How many of you on here that are artists and you find that somebody just loves it and it just does something to you? Put it in there. And as people are coming on, I just want to let you guys know that I will be on here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, all the way up until the end of the month. And these interviews will be posted on the Yonkers Arts YouTube page and also on their Facebook. And if you are an artist and you would like to be interviewed, please DM Yonkers Arts and give them your information, and they'll see. You know, I have a few more, about I guess 13 or 14 more interviews to do. So I have, you know, please. I do have some other artists too, but, you know, just DM us and see if you can be on here to talk about your art, talk about what's up and coming, what's next, show us some pieces. And because this is a great format that you can get other people to chime in. Like, thank you for people who have been asking questions. I still welcome questions for Luisa. And put it right there in the comments, because I'd love to be able to do that. Now, Luisa, I do have a question, and these are short. We're going to get ready to sign off, but I want you to, you know, tell us a little bit more about, you know, if I gave you, like, I gave you, oh my goodness, I'm talking like I have it. If you were to receive, you know, tons of money to be able to do whatever you want to do with your art, what would you do and why?
Ooh, tons of money.
Tons.
Ooh.
I'm talking truckloads.
I would find the side of a building. The side of a, I'd go
like the size of the Empire State Building. Like, what size?
Not go that far. I'm a short person. And surprisingly, even though I like to go up on heights, I still have these slight, like, I push myself all the time with these slight, like, fear of heights, but I still like to go climbing on things and getting up high, and then I'm like, oh, I'm scared, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
All right. So a massive, tall building. Yes.
Ooh, a massive building. Get my artist friends to come on in and do a massive piece. Get the scaffolding. Get the the machines, the lifts, and really go to work. Go to work with all that paint. Go to work.
I can imagine. So would it be something you think? I mean, we're just speaking of imagination. Would you see a piece that's full of color, or would you do a black and white piece? Because you do both of them so well. Yeah. I mean, they're both beautiful. What would you do with that?
Do a combination. I think I would do a combination where they go back and forth, where they kind of like mix and match, where this piece area has a lot of color, then it slides into a black and white spot, then it goes back, you know, and it just keeps going. If the money could get me to help, to get, like, hire somebody to help out and fill in the areas, like, I just set up, here's the lines, do me a favor, please fill this in.
Now, I'm going to hit you with another question. Do you think, please. You know, before I even do that, the first question, toward the end of the questioning now, but I want to ask you, what do you hope your art would achieve?
Ooh.
You know, do you feel that, you know, is it a feeling you want someone to have, or is it like a statement, like you're beautifying an area? And I mean, it could be a combination of both of those things, but.
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is not, is maybe mixed, because I tend to, at this stage, maybe when I was younger, I would have had certain expectations. As I've gotten older, now I'm in my 40s, I realize I try not to put out too many expectations. I do it for the love of it. And if it's commissioned, I also do it with the client in mind and the space in mind. So if it's a client, I'm definitely trying to make them happy and make them enjoy the space that they're going to be looking at for a long time. But for myself, and if I'm just putting it out there, I generally don't have a grand expectation. At least that's not what I go in with. Truly, when you're saying what do you wish for, I do wish for people to put a smile on their face, no matter what it makes them feel, because I think different people are going to receive different artwork in different ways. It's not for everybody. I've always started this and said, this is not for everybody. Everybody is not going to take on this style. You know what I mean? It's some people like much more realistic looking portrait style work. They want something to, you know, resemble what they're actually seeing. Abstract work is not for everybody. So I don't expect everybody to enjoy it. So once they do, I'm always like, that's fantastic that you like it, that it resonated, or the colors made you happy, or the movement made you feel something, or the quote that I put out. So definitely to brighten something up, or to make, put some love out there, put some light in there, and hopefully it's received well. Hope.
Oh, it is. I'm telling you already. I already know it is. And I want to tell you to continue. I can't believe it, Louisa. We're only supposed to be on here for 20 to 30 minutes. And we have just been talking and having a good time. And people have just been joining. But we're going to have to say goodbye right now. We did a great job. Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone here. I want to thank all of you who have been supporting these artist showcase series, and supporting me as a host, and supporting the artists that come onto these show and bear their souls in different ways. So I want to thank you, Luisa Vibes. Please make sure you check out her Instagram. Please make sure you share this video. This is actually going to be loaded on our Facebook. It's also going to be on our as I said, Facebook and help me out. What did I say? Facebook YouTube. And YouTube. Thank you. Facebook and YouTube. I have 14 others that were done. They're slowly being uploaded. Aww. Thank you, Laura CB88. We are both so talented and amazing. Shine so bright. Thank you so much for the love. And that's what we're here for, to give love to everybody and to help make them feel that, there's a voice and appreciating their artwork. So with that being said, I'm going to say, I wish all of you well. Have a wonderful weekend. Remember, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, if we have a guest, be right here at Yonkers Arts at 6 o'clock. I'll be here waiting to see you and meet all of you. And remember, always honor the artist within you, the passion within you. Okay.
Yes.
I'm Katori for Yonkers Arts, and I'll see everybody next week. Have a great one. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.